Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport, and we come back once again to the hallowed ground of One Race Wonders, where we look at the Formula 1 drivers who made a single start in a Formula 1 race, covering such heavyweights of motorsport history as Kunimitsu Takahashi, Francois Picard and Antonio Creus, amongst many others that are worthy of your time and subscription. So stick around, because the playlist will be in the end card. For today's episode of One Race Wonders, we are once again going back to the 1950s and looking at German racer Kurt Adolff. So make sure you subscribe and let's jump into the video. Kurt Adolff was born in pre-Second World War Germany in the city of Stuttgart to a rich family who owned and ran the Adolff J. A.G. Textiles firm. Kurt would have to wait to begin a brief career in motor racing because family business came first and then the Second World War. Kurt Adolff served as a paratrooper in many of the hotspots of the war. I do not know his personal politics and it's not important for this video, so let's move on to the start of his racing career. It started in the late 40s or early 50s with sports car racing, mainly in his native Germany, taking part in hill climbs and sports car races in a BMW powered Veritas, as was common for Germans in Germany whilst the country was being rebuilt in the aftermath of the Second World War. Kurt Adolff had his share of decent results, especially at the Nürburgring, where he finished on the podium in some pretty big races. Third place in the 1950 non-World Championship German Grand Prix and podiums in the Eifel race, along with good results elsewhere such as Munich Rem Airport and Hockenheim. His racing career would be very brief, literally just a handful of years, and rarely if ever outside Germany. This was due to his commitments to his family business as the director of one of the firm's Aachen-based spinning mills. Such was his commitment to the family business, he turned down an offer from Mercedes to race in the Carrera Panamericana Mexicana, amongst other races in 1952, because of a lack of time and an inability to travel away from work for months at a time. The drive instead went to Carl Kling, who won the Carrera Panamericana Mexicana and would later race in Formula 1 for Mercedes, scoring a couple of podiums in his brief time in Formula 1. Kurt Adolff would meanwhile get a chance in Formula 1, but from rather an unusual source. The Rudi Fischer owned Ecurie Espadon team and a Ferrari 500. Rudi Fischer was a successful driver in his own right. He had been racing in Grand Prix in the late 40s and continued into the age of Formula 1 in his self-entered cars. The successful restaurant owner and several other Swiss businessmen ran the team, and Fischer himself hung up his helmet after 1952. The team existed briefly for a couple of races in 1953, one of which was the German Grand Prix, with one Kurt Adolff at the wheel. He qualified 27th in a massive field of 34 cars, nearly 2 minutes off the pole time set by the works Ferrari driven by Alberto Ascari. Things get a little hazy for the actual race. What I am certain of is that Kurt Adolff did 3 laps of the Nordschleife before retiring. 3 laps of the Nordschleife in 1953 is still like a half hour of racing, so he had a longer Formula 1 career than many we have covered in this series. Where it gets complicated is Wikipedia, the bastion of truth and fact. On Wikipedia it says Kurt Adolff retired on lap 3 with transmission issues. Meanwhile, Alberto Ascari gave up his car for Luigi Villarezzi, despite Ascari potentially winning the championship at this Grand Prix, which he did, but I don't think they'd switch him out for one of his teammates just because. Unless Ferrari's strategy has always been batshit insane. Kurt Adolff was interviewed in 2001. His recollections is that he was retired because Ascari needed a spare part from his car to continue. My best guess from there is the engine on Ascari's car went on lap 9 and Ascari switched with Luigi Villarezzi, but with Fangio and Hawthorne not winning, Ascari was champion anyway. The original F1 champ, Nino Farina, won the race. It was to be his final Formula 1 win. As for Kurt Adolff, it was a career highlight, I'm sure, even if it did just last 3 laps. But he never raced in Formula 1 ever again. After his brief stint with the best in the Grand Prix racing world, Kurt Adolff basically moved away from motorsport to concentrate on his business concerns, occasionally competing in a Jaguar in touring car races and hill climbs. He was the consul to Chile, and I'm sure he led a very successful and happy life, passing away at the ripe old age of 94 in 2012. It was not a long racing career, barely 3 years in fact, but in that time he got to race against some of the best drivers of their age, race Formula 2 cars in Germany, have success in sports car and hill climbs, and of course, most importantly, raced in Formula 1 and joins the One Race Wonder Club. Thank you very much for watching. There will be more One Race Wonders coming along very soon as we head into the new year and all the new motorsport to look at in 2024. Very soon we'll be looking at the start of Formula E, the Dakar Rally, WRC, and all the various junior formulas that happen in January and February alongside the Asian Le Mans series. And there will be videos looking at the history of motorsport, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts down below. Thank you again and have a good one.